I love how optimistic we are as people. We want to believe that the best is coming from the people around us. We really want to believe that, and that's cute. So I was just told a story where a friend of mine has a friend of hers who's also a woman, who they were doing some work projects together, and my friend now feels that the woman is attracted to her, and it's probably the case. Um, it's just like, I don't know what type of people these are. This people. It's people. This is who we want to believe that we have this wonderful moral compass, and that it's inherent in every human being. It's not true. Everything that you believe is moral, there's somebody who believes the 180-degree opposite of that. Because that is their perspective. That is how they grew up. That is how they were indoctrinated. That is what their programming is. Yours is this. Unfortunately, in this country, they gave every female in this country the Cinderella dream. Some prince is supposed to come and save you, sweep you off your feet, carry you up to a tower, make passionate, wonderful love to you, and bless you with children. He will take care of you the rest of your days, and you will live happily ever after. And that is the lie. That is the lie. Because in order for that to be true, men would have to be taught that same thing. And men aren't taught that.
They're not. They're not.
Men are not taught the fairy tale. Men are taught their own fairy tale. Men are taught, get as many of them as you can. Get as many of them as you possibly can. Have as many as you can. Have as much sex as you can. Sex is a thing to go after. It is a goal. It is desire. It is the epitome of epitomes. You see how many men we know in popular culture have thrown their entire lives away, and it boils down to sex. You all are different animals than us. That moral compass that you all are given is to keep you in place. It is to keep you from ever believing or thinking about the things that we think about. Our minds are horrible places to be. Yeah, I said it out loud. You can get mad at me if you want to. Men's minds is the place that nightmares are made.
I gotta write that down. That was deep.
It is the place that every nightmare that you can conceive of in your mind was born in the mind of a man. Everything that we call a holocaust, everything that we call an atrocity, everything that we call horrible, everything that we call a shame, everything that we call a sin, everything that we call abhorrent was born in the mind of a man.
M-A-L-E.
So, I would like y'all to stop believing the fairy tale, because men don't believe that shit. Men don't go by it. Men don't believe it. It is not the truth. We know it every single day of our lives. You all are the only ones who believe that when you get a man, he is going to be faithful to you. That comes as a decision that a man makes at some point in his life as the result of learning some things about himself, or if that is the lifestyle that he has been taught. Other than that, where does he get that idea from? Who's going to put that idea in his head? Everybody around him is going to go out and tell him to sample as many as he possibly can. Why should you settle down? You're a young man. You have your entire life ahead of you. Whereas they're telling you at the same time, you getting old, you better hurry up and settle down.
Yeah.
You don't want to run out of time.
Especially when you get near 30. Like you.
Oh, they start pushing you. Because they have locked in you all's heads that 30 is the magic number. 3 is the magic number. Remember that song by De La Soul? Yes, it is. Because by 30, they're telling you you're old. They want you to believe that, because then you have to rush out and you have to find a man where, even if you are religious and okay, fine, whatever, but It says in that book that many of the Christians like to read, if a man findeth a wife, he findeth a good thing. It doesn't say anything about a woman find. It never tells you in there that a woman finds a good thing when she finds. Does it say that? If it does, I'd have to do some research. I honestly haven't read the whole book all the way through, but I don't remember that part at all. But it will tell you that they'll tell you that if a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing. So you got to be that good thing. You got to have this, and you got to have that, and you got to do this, and you have to do that. All these things that you have to do. Why? Why? And as I told you all before, you've been given the wrong information about how to relate to men. You keep thinking men are leaders. Men are not leaders. They're not natural born leaders. We are not natural born leaders. That has to be taught. Taught or learned as a result of your life experience, but you do not spring into this world with a penis and leadership ability. You don't. And many people have thrown their lives to ruin following some man because they thought he had leadership ability. This entire country, as a matter of fact. We can go magnum or we can go micro. Which way would you like to go, magnum or micro? Because we can go country by country, dynasty by dynasty, decade by decade, century by century, whoever, president by president. You can go that way, or you can go down and you can go cult by cult, church by church, organization by organization. Which way would you like to go, macro or micro? It is all because of that ruin. We do not spring into this world with that knowledge. It is not inherent in us. It's something that we can acquire. But you all get that. Have a baby. You're going to learn how to lead something. You're going to learn how to guide something. So how is it that we think that my mother came by? I told you my mama came by my house today, first time. And I was explaining to her some of these principles, honestly enough, because I had her trapped hostage in my apartment. So she couldn't go nowhere until I got up and let her out of there. So one of the things that I was telling her was about the paradox of thinking that God is a man. You all give birth every fucking day, but you think that the creator of everything that it is actually was just a male. You actually give it that property.
You do.
Why would you do that? That doesn't seem to be on a scale with nature, does it? It doesn't seem to be on a scale with nature for men to be the ones who give birth to something. No. That idea is taught to you so that you will relinquish your abilities, your station, and give it to them. See, we do have the muscle and the stuff like that. We do have all that. Yeah, because we need to move some shit out the way so that society can be laid down. We can't ask somebody who is in her 8th month of pregnancy to come move these bricks so that we can build this society. She has other business. You need somebody with a weak mind and a strong back. Doesn't that describe men? Many of the ones who think that they are leaders. We are all subject to weakness, yes we are. Male, female alike. But to think that you, by virtue of your penis, have leadership ability, you've been led wrong. You've been misguided. You have to go learn some shit before you can do that. One of the reasons why I don't explain to certain people, I told you about the conversation that I had with my aunt, and I brought that up to my mom today, in regard to religion and things like that, is because their thing is always, well, where did this information come from that you're getting? Because whoever gave it to you could have been wrong. That's their type of thinking. You don't know about peer-reviewed information because you all didn't go as far in your education as I did. You haven't done the types of work that I've done. You haven't handed out and collected surveys and tabulated the data. I have. I know what it is to research something. I know what it is to stack your research in your favor. I know what it is to create research so that you get the desired outcome, because every statistical analysis is that. It is you trying to prove something in this favor. I understand that. So when people ask me dumbass questions like, well, where did they get their information? Bitch, they fucking learn. Look, I don't know what to tell you at this point. Anybody, when I say bitch, I mean anybody. Anybody at this point who doesn't know how to fucking Google search something, begin there. You have to begin there. It's the easiest, quickest, most simplest place that you can get to real quick, and most of us have it available. Get to Google, it's free. All this information, oh, well, how do you know that information? Because I then go down what we call in social media circles a rabbit hole. Who posted it? Who are they? What organizations do they belong to? Where did that information come from? Why are they even researching it? Let's find out that before we give credence to their information. Let's find out which organizations have funded this research, because anybody who funds research has an agenda. Because I know how to do things like that. I'm not saying I'm all the way thorough on, and that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I have done the research on the shit that is coming out of my mouth. It's fairly easy to find. This is the information age. For the first time in man's history, man's written history that we are able to account for at least, we had the ability to instantaneously pull up information about things that happened way before we were even thought about. We can go back generations and generations and generations and find things. We can find out the truth that the Catholic Church has all the archives with all the black people and all the paintings that began all the religions and all the things that we thought began with white people. We had that and they had that, and now people are beginning to understand that this information is readily available. I'm not going to sit and try and fit 50 years of me educating my motherfucking self into a soundbite to fit you, so that you can get a little bit of it and believe it. That is not my job. If you don't believe what I'm saying, you feel free to go and research it. See, the thing is, you haven't done research on anything, so you don't know how to do research on anything. Learn how to do at least a little bit of research. Find out what sources are trusted. Find out which media sources are not funded by the same 7 people and organizations and companies. Find out which ones are independent. Find out which ones are actually doing the due diligence to find out the information about things that we have been asking questions about for years. I had to explain to her that a papal bull was what started slavery. At least the type of slavery that we know about, chattel slavery in this country. Because there was slavery since the beginning of whatever. But chattel slavery and you and your children in perpetuity being slaves was not thought of until these white men got a hold of it. These people that they say.
And they about to do a whole another one. I'm looking to see what that's going to be.
Another one of what?
There's going to be something to the equivalent of that coming up. The way technology is moving and things are transitioning, they're creating something else.
They're creating many things right now. And what's you know what's interesting? I saw this the other day, and I don't. Some things just make me so sad because there's nothing that I can do about it directly. There was a New York Times, I think it was. It was a cartoon from the New York Times, and it was showing when electricity came about. There were propaganda ads against electricity. See, your face, I wish if I had turned the camera around, would be that, but yeah. Because we can't think of a life without electricity. But back then, before then, the people who had candles and had candle companies and had candle making companies and imported wax and imported wicks and imported cotton for the wicks and imported all of them couldn't think of their life differently. And right now, the stuff that we fight is the stuff that will bring us progress, and we don't know it. There are some things that you have to listen to people sometimes when they say. I saw a video earlier about a congresswoman, I think it's in Massachusetts, beautiful black woman, and she was talking about Project 2025, right? And she was listing all these things that happened, that some of the agenda items in Project 2025. And I get that none of it is for us. I get that. I completely understand that. And I'm gonna latch on to one.
Us, you mean us as a people, us as a black race?
Black. Excuse me. I get that none of that was written for us with us in mind. But there are some ideas that we have to let go of. One of the first things she said was they want to gut the educational system, because I can't be mad at that part. I can't be mad at that at all. And they're going to take all the Title I funding, and it sounds like a horrible, horrible thing. But when you think about what the educational system in this country is, what it was, how it was began, and how it has become from a pipeline where people are taught to work in factories to where people are taught to work in factories and prisons. Because it's changed just that they made that tweak, right? But just the abhorrent thought of giving up education. The system in this country needs to be demolished. It's trash. It's bullshit. It's a waste of time. It's 12 years that we usurp from our babies that we can't give back for no fucking reason, other than white people make us. That's it. We know that the shit that they're telling us isn't true because we went through the system already. We were brought up in that system. We understand that the shit that they teaching those kids is barely gonna be relatable in their everyday life. It's nothing that they're gonna need so much every day that it's gonna take 12 years of their lives to teach them this shit. You could teach them this in 3. You could really squeeze high school and elementary into 3 fucking years if you really needed to. But the shit that they really need to teach us would fill out those other 9. Teach us agriculture. Teach us real estate. Teach us real estate. Finance. Yeah, now fuck a checkbook. Teach us those things. Mm-hmm. Teach us how to live without depending on our country. Yeah. Teach us those things. But no, they're not going to teach us those things. They won't even let the earth nourish us. Why would they teach you those? They want you dependent on them. Period. Just like the propaganda ad from the electricity. It's the same thing. We get locked into ideas and we hold on to them so tight, and us as black people do the same. Many, and forgive my generalizations, please do. I know it's not everybody, but I'm not talking about those people, obviously. I'm talking about the people to whom it applies. Us as black people have to understand that it is okay to let go of what our parents taught us without guilt. It is that holds us in place still. Many of us just don't want to give up our mother's God. We don't want to give up our grandmother's God. We don't want to give up the way our grandmothers and mothers did it. It was good enough for them, it should be good enough for me. The world isn't the same world that they grew up in. Your mother should have never taught you the things that her mother taught her unless they were feasible for the world that she was sending you to, not for the one that she grew up in, for the one that she wanted to prepare you for. Because that ain't your grandmother's world. We're too afraid because we're taught it's disrespectful. The fact that the idea that it's disrespectful to grow beyond what your parents achieved is the most diabolical trick that has ever been perpetrated on us. It is diabolical to think that you can't let go of that and get something new. That's like saying you have to drive the same car your mother drove. They may not even make Pintos anymore, but you think you're gonna go find one. It doesn't serve you. We don't take the time to look through our ideas and sort through them and pick through them and find out what's good and what's bad. We'll sort through the refrigerator and throw out the bad shit and rotate the whole refrigerator. When do you do that with your beliefs? You do it to your cabinets. Those people who have attics do it with their attics. They do it with their basements. They do it with their closets. They do it with their kitchen drawers. When do you do it with your thoughts? You think the same thoughts that you grew up with are the same ones that you need to have today? All of them? Please move to the other side of the world. Please move to the other side of the world. If that is what you think, move to the other side. We could get all y'all together in one good spot and let y'all stay in the 18th century. If that is where you would like to be, we could put you, the Amish people, and we'll throw pygmies in there or some shit just to balance it out. Because it sounds silly. With the technology that we have available in our life, why would you want to stop? Why would you want to not grow? Simply because your parents, your mother, your father didn't have that ability. Why would you want to not do that? To me, it is the greatest boon. It is the biggest. It shows the most respect to go past where they went. To me, it says, you were paying attention, my child. You were paying attention. You didn't have to repeat what we did. You looked at it, you saw it, and you did something new. Good job. But we don't do that. There are too many mothers out here jealous of daughters. And too many fathers out here who are jealous of sons. There are too many cousins that are haters. There are too many big brothers who act like little brothers. There are too many little sisters who had to grow up and be big sisters all of a sudden for whatever reason. We have to rethink that. We keep adopting the type of paradox and schizophrenia that they keep forcing upon us in the rhetoric that they give us. We don't have to adopt that rhetoric. See, the one thing that I never understood was, why don't we just ask that things make fucking sense? Just, as the popular saying goes now, make it make sense. That's all. Because if you make it make sense, you would have better belief. Actually, you wouldn't have belief. What you would have is called knowing. I put up a post that said something about the difference in between believers and knowers. And a friend of mine belongs to a religion where they call themselves believers. And she's like, I disagree. You have that option.
When it comes to that belief and knowing, I tell people, do you believe your name is Antoine?
Or do you know it?
Do you know your name is Antoine?
Exactly.
That's a difference.
Anything that you believe is something that you don't know. Yeah. Belief is nothing but an admission that you don't know. Because if you knew it, you wouldn't be talking about you believe it.
This is beliefs is the substance of things hopeful.
That's what white people put in there. That's what white people put in there.
So,
let me stop saying white people. That's what early colonizers put in there. Listen, I'm not gonna always split hairs, so I hope y'all watch all of this stuff from the beginning where I make explanations, because I may not later. We listen to the colonizers' language, have adopted it, and internalized it to the point that it comes out of our mouths so readily that we don't hear our own voice. Somebody, what was the thing when we were talking? I'm gonna bring this kind of full circle into what began this conversation. We were talking about. You said, how do we end up with these type of people, right? I'm gonna tell you exactly how. Because we don't listen to our own voice. When you keep snubbing your voice out enough, your voice never shuts up. But you quiet it. You push it to the back. You put reason, rationalization, justification in front of your voice. And you're taught to do that. From the time that you're a little girl, probably any time that you wanted to be yourself, somebody said, no, you cannot. Anytime you wanted to be authentic, somebody said, no, you will not. So, all of our voices has been snubbed. They've been quieted. And until we begin to listen to our voices again, we're going to continue to put ourselves in situations like that. And I mean all of us. I've done it time and time and time again, because I was fed cliches growing up that justified and allowed for people to do horrible things in relationships and didn't hold them accountable. So when I would say something about somebody doing something, because I was a very judgy child, and my mother, well, it's good in everybody. And she would say it continuously. So now I'm thinking, well, if I see the person and all I see is bad shit, something must be wrong. And what I found out is it's not either. It doesn't matter whether everybody has good, everybody has bad. That's not what should have been given to me. That wasn't the best lesson for me to learn. The best lesson for me to learn is if you sense something about that person that you don't like, then you stay away from them. You don't have to make a whole bunch of noise about it. You ain't got to run and tell your friends. You ain't got to do none of that. If you get a bad vibe from somebody, remove yourself from the situation. That's the voice that you need to learn how to cultivate and listen to every day of your life. That is the one that is going to save you. That is the one that will pull you from in front of a moving train. That voice. That's the one that tells you turn around right before somebody is right up on you while you're walking down the street. It's that one. It's always looking out for you. It always has looked out for you, and it will look out for you. Because that is the common... I want to get better language before I have this conversation, but just to put it mildly, that is the God in you. That is the God energy in us all. That is the common thread. That is what makes me relate to you even when I don't know you. I may have never met you. You could live and have grown up on the other side of the world. The one thing I know is that energy that's in me is in you. If I'm meeting you, it's in you. I need to regard that more. And the more I listen to my voice, the more it will guide me to people that I don't have to get from around. The more it's going to guide me to people that I feel safe around. We don't teach people that. We make little girls sit on people's laps whose laps they shouldn't sit on. We send little boys to get kisses from aunts who they shouldn't be kissed upon. We make them because they're family. Well, that's my girlfriend. She's known you since before you was born. You better go over there. It's not about making people bad or good. It is about ending up where you're supposed to be, safe. When you don't listen to your voice, that's how you end up not safe. Anybody who is watching this, you can recount right now, just listening to me say what I'm about to say. There's a time in your life, or 3 at least, that you have recounted when something made you not go somewhere or pulled you away from a situation, and you were like, there was no real rational reason, except for you had this gut feeling and decided at the last minute, maybe, I'm not doing it. That is the God in you. And you need to listen to it. Again, it is what is going to save you. It is not about vilifying anyone. What it is about is making sure that like attracts like. It's making sure that this person doesn't get caught up in this other person's stream of destruction. And when you teach your children to hone that, it keeps them out of harm's way. When you teach them to dim that, it's going to put them in situations that you have to worry about. You will be up in the middle of the night worrying about whether your children are safe because you did not implant that in them. And that is why you now have to worry. If you had taught them to listen to their own voice and trust that it is going to pull them out of whatever danger, because it has, and it always did with you, you wouldn't have to be up at night worrying. Don't let the guilt rob you of your sleep. It's never too late. Even if your children are grown, tell them, listen, sit down and listen to yourself for a few times a day. Be conscious enough to sit and listen for that voice, so that when it does speak to you, you can hear it clearer. You want clarity with it. You don't want to second guess it. You don't want to be like, oh, should I you just don't need to do that. It's going to tell you exactly what you need to do. Make the decision and move on in peace. No, you may not be able to see how this is going to benefit you at the moment. It may not be an immediate benefit. You can't worry about that, though. You cannot worry about that. You have to move on with whatever it is you're doing. Smooth like that. I was when I'm not that I was getting ready to say I was. I still can be. When something happens, like if I have a plan and I'm getting ready to go somewhere, don't get in my way. I'm not pausing. I'm not stopping. I got this place to be, and I'm getting there. Whatever's in my way, if it's traffic, if it's a dog walking across the street, whatever it is, little old lady in the crosswalk, I'm mad at whatever it is that is stopping me from getting where I think I need to be at this time. It took a long time for me to go, you know what? Maybe I'm being redirected. Maybe I'm being paused. Maybe I'm being slowed down for my own safety. Because rushing the way that I'm rushing, I've heard too many stories about people rushing. And when I was young, one of the things my mother always used to say is haste make waste. I didn't understand that for the longest time. Haste make waste. I didn't know what she was talking about. I didn't know what haste was as a 4-year-old, and I didn't know what waste was as a 4-year-old. What are you talking about? Haste make waste. I don't know what you mean. I now know what you mean. And I pay attention when something is slowing me down. When I have an agenda and something is not going according to the agenda, there is something that is redirecting me.
I normally say, thank you, Lord, for saving me from whatever it is you're taking me away from.
Yeah.
We don't know.
You have no idea. And what is the sense of getting upset about a situation that you can't rectify? That's something else that we have taught people, that we pass on to our children and future generations, that is an acceptable behavior. Road rage, you in traffic, you cussing out the cars while your kids in the seat, you calling people names while you walking down the street talking about them. Kids hear all that shit. And that's how they think you're supposed to relate to people. That's why you get little kids who walk down the street and call other people names and call their friends names. And we wonder where these little kids learned this shit. They learned it by watching their parents. I don't know why people think kids are little dummies.
I can always tell what's going on in somebody's family. Just watch their kids. All you
Baby,
need is 5-10 minutes with them
that's
babies.
it.
They'll tell it all.
They will get
Not
it right
with
to
they
you.
mouth,
No, their actions.
there we go.
Their actions, the way they behave. The way they behave. And what you can see clearly is if the parent is in the vicinity, how the parent reacts to this child misbehaving. Because many of them act like they don't see it. You see exactly what I see. And those are the things that they're very unnerving. I have friends who wanted kids really badly and couldn't have children. And to watch people treat kids like that is the most abhorrent misabuse of life. Abuse of life. I worked with welfare clients for years. And I would see young girls come in with little babies, like I'm talking about 1 or 2, and these babies would be dressed the cutest, like they would be in name brand everything. Nike, Adidas, Timberlands, whatever. They would have it from head to freaking toe. But the way that the mother talks to the child, you're talking to a 2-year-old calling her a bitch, telling her to get her fucking ass over here. Didn't you hear what the fuck I said? Get your stupid ass the fuck over here. I told you before. You're talking to a baby. That's a baby. That's a baby. That's a baby. I've watched girls come in there and cuss these kids out like they was they man. I can call 5 people right now that can verify my story and tell you their own of being in there, watching these girls come in there with these babies, and they cussing at them like it's the daddy. See, that's the part where there's a woman who hasn't been listening to herself and got into a situation with a man that she should not have been with. Because you in welfare, first of all. Let's start there. You in here with your baby. So he's not doing what you expected him to do. Because I bet you that was a part of your expectation. I bet you it was. So here you are now, because you realize that as a mother, as the first teacher, as the carer, you have to provide, right? So you go get these benefits from this government that we'll now call daddy. And then you treat that child like shit because the man didn't do what you wanted. Because you had an expectation, he didn't fulfill it. You got pregnant thinking it was going to change it. It didn't. And now we are here. Because you didn't listen to you the first time. See, one thing that I don't want anymore, and this is one of the reasons why I make these videos, is I don't want us giving up our power. People keep calling it blaming the victim. No, it's not. It's taking fucking responsibility. You have to, at some point, lay off the dick and give your space and your mind, your womb, your emotions, your mind, everything a chance to heal from the damage that you have allowed niggas to come in and create. Take that time to heal. I don't give a fuck if it's 5 years. Go 5 years without dick. For the sake of you and your children. Go 5 years without dick. That's a simple equation. It'll get better. There's dick everywhere. It will fall right into your lap. I promise you. As soon as you make a decision to get some more, it'll be there. I promise. But if it is for your health and your sanity, and you can't seem to get your mind right, take a few years to do that. I think it's worth it. But we haven't taught. That's not taught. You need to learn how your voice sounds when it's in the proximity of somebody who is not going to mean well for your life. You need to know what that voice sounds like. You need to know if it's your stomach bubbling. You need to know if it's a cold running up your left leg. You need to know if the back of your neck start itching when you get around these motherfuckers. You need to know your body, your central nervous system will tell you when there is somebody in proximity who does not regulate it, who is not in congruence with your central nervous system. See, what we forget is things like you have a electromagnetic field that expands 27 feet outside of your body. Do you know how far 27 feet is? Almost 3 stories high. So if you have an electromagnetic field, meaning that it starts from around your heart and it goes your heart, your brain, everything, all that creates a field, and that goes out 9 meters, 27 feet, right? That, you know what that means? That means that my ions are interrelating with somebody who is within that 27 meter span if my electromagnetic field is fully expanded, because it shrinks and it expands. When you are sitting in anger and low vibration, it comes in. And when you are sitting in love and understanding and authenticity, it expands. So when you are in that space and somebody comes within that 27 feet, you can feel them. And they can feel you. And if they get within that range, you can feel them dysregulating your system. You can feel them. You start getting something about you just starts. Yeah. That's your central nervous system telling you to abort. Move away. Do not continue with this mission. See, we forget that there are things that connect us in more ways than we can see and feel and taste and touch, rather. We forget that there are things that connect us in ways that you do not understand. So when you have certain things going on in your life and you don't understand why they keep happening, maybe you have not cleansed this auric field around you, and there are people who are interrelating with you who should not be, and you need to get that together. You need to get that together. It's a real thing. See, we weren't taught chemistry. We weren't taught quantum physics. We were taught basic physics in school, but we weren't taught quantum physics, which in many ways explains a lot of the things that people experience as God. There's an explanation for a lot of things, but you have to do the research to find out. Nobody's gonna come and sit it in your lap. You have to step out on some understanding. You have to begin to do some research. You have to begin to find out for yourself. And you can't allow simple paradoxes like it's a male energy that beget all of this beautiful creation. No. In another video, I talked about, because I had to bring this up with my mother about virgin births, parthenogenesis. So of course, that's a word she's never heard because nobody tells you that in church. That's not a word that they use when they explain it in church. There's a biological term that describes this condition, and you should be aware of it because as a woman, we still don't know what it is that sparks that in human females. Of course, you only get half the chromosomes, but oh well. That's fucking magic.
Yeah, I never heard of it till you mentioned it to me the other day, and I looked into it.
Because if women had the common knowledge that they didn't need men in that way.
Yeah, but that's not something that you can like readily do.
Yeah,
like,
but don't you think that there's a woman somewhere who's a doctor who, if this was something that she really wanted to get down on, she would get down on it and find a way to make it happen? Maybe a group of women doctors come together. I'm sure it's something that they've heard, but it's not something that the public is ready to accept. See, that's the other thing, is you can't do anything. You can do it behind closed doors, locked up away somewhere in the laboratory and make it happen, but you can't roll that out to the general public.
Let me ask you a question. Has something like that ever happened? Okay, it's a little crazy. Has anything like that ever happened to a male?
Not that I'm
Like
aware.
somebody
No.
that's born male?
Not that I'm a. I don't think biologically it can't happen.
Yeah, I mean, you would think biologically that can't happen.
No, but biologically that makes sense. It doesn't make sense though that you would clone a me. Because it's basically cloning. But it's something that the body can do for itself. The female body can clone itself and make a female. There's nowhere for us to do that. We can't generate. You can't generate
I'm
it.
just saying, I would have never guessed that. I'm just asking.
Y'all can't generate the Y chromosome. That's what it is.
So those are two X chromosomes?
Yes. But I think she would only have, if the offspring would only have one X.
But the offspring
is
can't
infertile.
Produce.
Right.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah.
I need to look into that.
It's interesting,
That
this stuff
really,
that they.
Really, I never heard of that until you introduced it to me.
Why do you think they don't tell us this stuff? Can you imagine what a sense of power this little girl right here, if you grew her up with that idea in her head that's a possibility, not that it can happen at will, it's a possibility, as opposed to you need a man. It's a different idea to grow up with. Or how about this? You don't have to procreate at all. Your life is full in and of itself. You don't owe your parents anything, nor do you owe future generations anything, except to respect this space while you're in it. Saying it now, it seems simple, right? It seems like a thought that anybody could have, but it's not the one that either one of us grew up with, is it? Right. Yeah. Neither one of us grew up with the idea that we would be full in and of ourselves. You can only be made full through getting married and having children.
Somebody else got to be involved.
You have to have other people there. Yeah.
Very,
Which is sad.
very much.
It's absolutely insane. Because until you teach people again that you need to have something here for that life when it gets here. It can't just be your whole life situation and they gotta adapt to it. The fuck? They didn't ask to come here. See, that's the.
Why are you barking that sugar bang? Don't bark, Paul.
That's the other paradox that what was it? It was yeah, fulfilling a whole bunch of other people's life prophecies. Because realistically, to what end are we gonna keep having children? To what end? are we having them? I know there are a bunch of people who, anyone who watches this video might go, your legacy, something like that. Okay. So you have absolute knowledge that we are going to be able to continue as a species beyond a certain point. You have absolute knowledge of that. And by virtue of the fact that you brought children here, I'm assuming, because I'm going to assume that you're not some sort of sadist, meaning any parent, and you didn't bring your kids here to experience some sort of apocalypse. Right. So if you didn't bring them here to experience an apocalypse, but you also don't have knowledge of the world being good or even continuing beyond a certain point, what is the purpose? Yeah, that's selfish.
But I'm gonna say this: you have a lot of unplanned.
Yeah.
Okay. So majority of pregnancies are unplanned.
Yeah.
And so you got some people who don't believe in abortion.
That's because our
So
society,
they're stuck.
our
So
society is run in such a way that that is an acceptable way for us to go around and behave, because we aren't taught that sex is something that we should only reserve for the person who deserves it. Because what you do is give away parts of your energy to all these random ass motherfuckers, men and women, whoever it is you're having sex with. And these are people who don't even stay around to cultivate your development. How about to pour into, and this isn't me fanning monogamy or something like that. I'm just saying conserve your energy, because it does dispense into other people. You keep pouring it into other people. Whoever it is you banging, you giving her some of that. And if it's going into a condom, then it's going into a condom. Hey, but that we cultivate as a society the fact that it's okay to go around having random casual sex and getting an abortion. People use it more as birth control than they do as contraception. You know what I'm saying? They use it to control a birth as opposed to using contraception. Why not cultivate having sex in ways that you don't have to experience that? There are plenty of ways to do it. Everything doesn't have to end with a pump and dump.
I mean,
because we're taught that.
Yeah, we can go into that, a lot. You got some moments where it's spur of the moment.
Yeah.
High and whatever. So like.
But here's the thing: spur of the moment, you should know what your body is doing.
Yeah, I get that.
Spur of the moment, you got to know what your body is doing, because see, the consequences, somebody is brought here against their will, and now they have to suffer through your life. Because parents don't look at it like that. You think you're bringing us up? No, what you're doing is subjecting me to everything that it is that you have made, whether I'm in favor of it or not. Because at some point, your kid is going to get a mind of their own. I'm talking about when I say that, what I'm saying is they're going to get to that point in their development where they're going to tell you, those are your ideas and they are not mine.
Oh, I know. I got 4.
Baby, so quadruple the times.
4.
Yeah. And we negate that and don't give it enough space prior to having children. See, if you raise children, knowing that at some point, if you have kids, this is the type of space that you have to give up in your life. That's where you start from. That's what has to change in society. So when we were talking about the educational system, and I was saying the educational system in Project 2025, they want to scrap it. That's one thing that I'm not completely. I'm in favor of getting rid of the whole educational system. It needs to be redone. It needs to be.
Everything needs to be done.
Everything.
This whole world needs to be
we need to take a look at ourselves. We need to take a look at ourselves and get with something. And here's the thing that, just to wrap this up, because one of the things that we're going to have to take a look at, in addition to relationships between men and women and parents and children, is different races and things like that. The way that you treat other races, if you know nothing else about them, if you know that you don't want to be one, you know enough about them. That's from James Baldwin. That's not from me. If you know nothing else about the race except you wouldn't want to be one, because many of us have imagined ourselves as another race because of the way that we're enculturated here. So that's something, it's not a foreign thought, for young black children growing up in an urban city. You wonder what you would look like, white or lighter, with lighter brown skin, even if you didn't want to be white, just lighter skin, or maybe darker skin. Maybe you're too light and wanted to be darker. Whatever it is, you've had to have this color situation in your head. And the fact that people, particularly white people, there's no other way to say that, know that the one thing that you don't want to be is black. There's nothing else, there's no other conversation to have. You know everything you should have. And for the white people who are afraid when we talk about things about reparations, because we can't repair anything in this country until we have that conversation, particularly between black people and this country. You should understand that we're not trying to go into your pockets for something that your grandparents did. There is a whole Roman Catholic Church who has to answer for slavery. There are numerous insurance companies that are still in existence today that made their wealth off the back of trading bonds of enslaved people. So we're not coming after you, sugar. That's not, this is not a thing against white people in this country. I don't know you motherfuckers. I just don't. It's the people who created the system, and we have to dismantle that. That's where we have to go. Yeah, you all have made trillions of dollars off of our black and brown bodies, and we were just like that back. I mean,
And mine.
no, whole
And
intellectual
mine.
property too. Yeah. You have raped every part of us you could rape. You stuck your dirty penises in every orifice that you could find. You cannibalized us, literally, thinking that we would, somehow rub off from the inside and you would, get some of this juice. But it ain't yours, and you'll never get it. But we gonna get what's due to us at some point. We promise you that. So I holler. Once again, this is Uncle D. If you like these videos, please subscribe. Please subscribe. And you can hit the notification button so that you'll know anytime that I post a new video. And leave a comment. Whatever the comment is, I'll go back and read the comments. And I will see you next time right here, layers, levels, and intersections.